So, welcome to Tea and New Book Tuesday. I'm pretty sure this is working. Got my little live on Facebook in the corner, so it looks like it's good. All right. For today's show, we're going to talk about Yellow Labels, which is mystery, thriller, and crime. Let me show you my slides. There we go. All right. Tea and New Book Tuesday for November 10th. Talking about Yellow Labels. All right. Today I am drinking my Tazo lemon strawberry green tea, which is one of my favorites. I just read Devolution by Max Brooks, which is about a Sasquatch massacre, which for a book about a massacre, it was a surprising amount of fun. Just sort of the figuring out of how you would survive and everything. And I'm kind of figuring out what to read next. I said last week that I was going to read some of the biggest horror books of the year, but I tried several of them and they're just not quite working for me. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to read next. We shall see. And, oh, that shouldn't be there. Okay, for this week's giveaway, I have so many books that I'm just going to give away a book to everybody who wants one. So if you want a book, write "I want a free book" in the comments and the MPL location you prefer for pickup, and I will start sending them out as soon as I start getting comments. The giveaway ends on Friday at 9 a.m. Okay, getting into the books. Now, mystery has a lot of series. It just does. I suppose romance sometimes does too, but there's so many that I just want to go over some of the series that have an edition coming out in December. First up, let's talk about some cozies. Cozies are always murder mysteries or mysteries, not necessarily murder, that, how to put this, they're not too murdery, they're not too violent. It's, there's often a food or a drink element involved, and it's about being all cozy in a small town and such. So our first series up is the Highland Book Mystery Series. Book 4 is coming out next month, and book 4 is called Heather and Homicide. It's set in a bookshop in a small, I think, seaside town. I don't have it written down, but it's in Scotland. And the owners of the bookshop are also amateur sleuths. We own book 1, which is called Plaid and Plagiarism. But book 4 comes out December 1st. Then there's Courting Can Be Killer by Amanda Flower. This is part of the Matchmaker in an Amish Village series. This is book 2. The first one is called Matchmaking Can Be Murder, and it's an Amish matchmaker who is also an amateur sleuth. And let me see. Yes. And then we've got Grounds for Murder, which is a coffee shop mystery. And this is a new series. This is the first one by Tara Lush. And it's set in a Florida coffee shop. And the owner proprietor has her best barista quit right before the big Sunshine State Barista Championships, which maybe is a thing. I honestly have no idea. But then the barista is found dead behind her shop. And of course, she's a suspect because she was mad at him. So she's got to turn amateur sleuth to find out what happened. And based on the book's marketing materials, you should expect lots of coffee puns. And it comes out on December 8th. Next up, we have Hidden Treasure, which is a Josie Prescott Antiques mystery, but it's also book 13 in its series. It's set on the, quote, rugged New Hampshire coast. And the amateur sleuth in this one is an antiques expert. We have the first book, and we have like a half dozen other ones that are in the series. A Catered Book Club Murder is from the Mystery with Recipes series, and I'm pretty sure there are actual recipes in this book. It's by Isis Crawford, who's a very popular author, and it's a caterer who is also an amateur sleuth, in case you aren't getting a kind of a theme here. Okay, then 3 series, or it's going to be more than 3, but these are about people within crime who are insiders. They're either cops or criminals. So the first one is The Wicked Hour by Alice Blanchard, which is book 2 in the series that's named after the main character, which is Natalie Lockhart. And she is a rookie cop in a small town in upstate New York that has a lot of secrets, and she's pretty determined to unearth those secrets. This series began with Trace of Evil, which we have, but Wicked Hour comes out December 1st. Next up, we have Thomas Perry, his book Eddie's Boy. He's a best-selling author. This is book 4 in the Butcher's Boy series, and I think this series has been relatively spread out. But we do have the first one, which is called Butcher's Boy, and it's about a retired hitman who's on the run from his former associates. Next we have, Eddie's Boy comes out December 1st. Next up is Fool Me Twice by Jeff Lindsay. Jeff Lindsay's another very popular author, and this is Riley Wolf book 2. Book 1 was called Just Watch Me, and it's about a master thief. Lindsay also wrote the Dexter series, in case you're wondering. And Fool Me Twice comes out December 1st. Let's go to, where am I? Right over here. All right. So S.J. Rosen's Linda Chin and Bill Smith Mysteries is a really long series. The Art of Violence is book 13 in that series. And Linda Chin and Bill Smith are PIs working in New York City. So the first book is called China Trade, and it's set in Chinatown. And this one, The Art of Violence, they're investigating in the art world. So Art of Violence comes out December 1st, but we already have China Trade if you want to start at the beginning of the series. Blind Vigil by Matt Cole. Matt Cole's won a bunch of awards, and he's been nominated for a bunch of awards like almost perpetually, like almost everything he writes. So he's beloved among writers and librarians. But Blind Vigil is part of the Rick Cahill series. It is book 7 in that series, and it is about a former cop turned private investigator. And I believe it's set in Los Angeles. All right. These outsiders are not PIs. I think I've got that note wrong. Yeah, I'm almost positive that note's wrong. So up next we have Cold Wind by Paige Shelton. And Paige Shelton's a pretty popular author, but this is Alaskan Mysteries book 2. And the Alaskan Mysteries series is about a thriller author who was kidnapped and managed to escape, but her kidnapper hasn't been found. So she's hiding out in Alaska until he goes to jail. And of course, mysteries ensue. But the first book in the series is called Thin Ice. Cold Wind comes out December 1st. And Watch Her by Edwin Hill. This is another series that's named after its main character, Hester Thursby. This is book 3. It's about the series overall is about a Harvard librarian who ends up amateur sleuthing his way into some of the most prominent Boston families. And book 1 is called Little Comfort. Book 3, Watch Her, comes out December 29th. All right. Now the ones we're going to talk about with a little more depth. These are all, as far as I know, single titles. So standalones, not a series. Start up with Open House by Kate Seiss. So in Open House, a young woman went missing from her small town 10 years ago, and police find the first clue in 10 years, frozen in ice, and that brings up and triggers a lot for obviously her sister and her friends and family. And then another woman is attacked or murdered. Yeah, she's attacked during an open house, and it looks like it might be the same person who killed that woman. So it's about a small town and all of its secrets. The early reviews are setting it between 4 and 5 stars. The author has other books, but this is the first book we've bought. So if you like it and it works for you, let us know, and we'll consider her any upcoming books she has, and maybe even consider going back and getting her first book. But Open House by Kate Seiss comes out December 1st. Now, everything is out of order. And I don't know where Shed No Tears is. I legitimately don't know where my notes on this book are. But I might have eliminated this book because I think it might be a series. I'm pretty sure I eliminated that one too. Okay. Moving on to Olive Bright Pigeoneer by Stephanie Graves. This is set in a British village during World War II. And the main character she raises racing pigeons, which is the thing. And she wants the pigeons to help with the war effort. The British government does want her help. They decide that what they need the pigeons for is for the intelligence services, which is, the spies. So she's got to keep it all secret. And then a woman is found murdered outside her pigeon loft, which is causing people to ask questions that she can't answer and things like that. Stephanie Graves, the author of this, that's a pseudonym for a romance writer whose name is Alison Goodnight. And we have a bunch of her romance novels. This book only has a handful of early reviews, but they're pretty much positive. It comes out December 29th. All right. Where am I? No idea. There it is. The Lies You Told by Harriet Tice. Okay. So our heroine in this story is restarting her career, I think after a divorce. So she's moved back to London. She was a criminal barrister, so she's restarting that, and she's put her daughter in a very exclusive private school that is super cliquey and competitive. But one of the mothers does befriend her around the same time that she takes on a really high-profile case. And as she gets deeper into both of these things, she's realizing that these relationships may start clouding her professional perspective and judgment. It's been described as dark, addictive, and compelling, and the early reviews are giving it a solid 4 stars. That's The Lies You Told on December 1st. Okay, Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. This is a debut novel, meaning the first book that this author has written, or more accurately, the first book this author has published. So it's about a series of disappearances in a small college town that appear to be linked. And everyone is especially worried about the disappearance of their high school teacher. But his wife isn't worried and seems really confused. She claims to have seen his dead body, except the body is now gone. And no one can find it. The tagline on this book is "There's more than one way to end a marriage." So I think we're going to a very dark, murdery kind of place. It's a mystery. I mean, that almost goes without saying. But the early reviews give it a solid 4 stars. It comes out December 29th. The Opium Prince. Okay. This is going to take a minute to explain, because first we have to do a history lesson. This novel is a debut novel, again, and it's set in Afghanistan in the 1970s. In 1978, there was a coup or a revolution, depending on who you ask, in Afghanistan. The president of Afghanistan, his family, and a bunch of his supporters were murdered. The people responsible for their deaths ended up in power. And as a consequence of this situation, the Soviets invaded Afghanistan and engaged in a war that I think went on for like 7 years. It didn't end. It started in 78 or 79 and didn't end until the mid-80s. This novel, The Opium Prince by Jasmine Amok, is about a young man who's lived in the US most of his life, but he goes back to Afghanistan to help with a US effort to try and clean up the poppy fields. Those poppy fields are supplying opium for illegal operations all over the world. Our protagonist accidentally hits a child with his car, and the child dies. He faces very few legal ramifications, which he is disturbed by, and he just in general feels horrible about the whole situation. Part of the reason is because nobody cares who the girl is. And part of it is because someone he doesn't know steps up for him and speaks for him in court. He comes to find out that this man is what they call an opium con, which sounds a lot like a warlord. This has been described as a literary thriller, so very heavy on description and subtle emotion and things like that. But the early reviews are raving, and I've been hearing about it so much that when I added it to this list, I kept researching my document, going, no, this is already on my list, isn't it? No, it's not. I've heard about it several times. Okay. And our final book of today, The Wrong Family by Taryn Fisher. Fisher's a pretty well-established author. We have her first book. It's not her first book, but her previous one was called The Wives, and it became a bestseller. The Wrong Family is about a retired therapist who moves in with a family that she thinks she knows and that she thinks is perfect. And she's coming to realize that they have a lot of secrets. But when it comes right down to it, so does she. This is being described as a taut thriller, riddled with twists in all the right places. I think it looks pretty interesting, and it comes out December 20th. All right. If you want to participate in the giveaway, meaning you want a free book, go ahead and put I want a free book and the MPL location that works for you for pickup in the comments below. We have a Goodreads group. If you haven't joined, come join us. I try to link the Goodreads page for every one of these books to that group so that if you want to go read a longer description of the book or see some librarian and early reader reviews, you can do that on Goodreads. There's a link in the description if you want to get to that. I also have a newsletter, MPL Pre-Orders, that covers everything I've discussed here today. And if you'll join me next week, we're going to talk about more December pre-orders. Thank you for watching. Okay, now I have to figure out how to turn this off. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to go to here. How's I going to do it? What if I do this? Maybe? Nope, I'm still live on Facebook. And